Hey, Kutsu.
Hey, Andrew.
You are the first guest on this kind of new series that my wife encouraged me to do, where I talk to people about problems that they're facing and help. We call it unblocking at Fractal. It's like sometimes people are blocked from making decisions that they maybe don't know how to make or know how to make, but just for some reason are stuck anyway. And it's some mix of like strategy, consulting for individuals, and some amount of coaching. So to start, what are you blocked on? What are you trying to do?
So it's funny as it's like I don't feel like I'm blocked on a decision, but I feel like definitely blocked on I don't know, taking like the next steps towards it. It's like I've already decided, as you know, I've already decided that coming out of Vibe season, I was just like, oh, actually, I have to move to New York and do the Fractal boot camp, and that felt like a fairly easy decision to make, right? Like the level of emotionality around it, and just kind of like picking through, like, why am I so upset to be going home? Um, it became like very clear to me what the upset was, and that to me was it's a kind of feeling that I recognized before. Like I went to medical school before, and I left medical school, so it's like I've recognized the feeling of like, oh, this is a feeling of like stagnance and discontent that won't go away if I ignore it, so there's no point in avoiding it. So like I made the call like literally on the plane. Like I was on a plane, I was just like, well, I guess I have to move to New York now. So the decision part was
Mm,
like fine, and then getting home and immediately getting the ball rolling was also fine, kind of like riding on that initial energy. And then I think in the week since, it's like I have these plans laid out in my head where I was just like, if I can execute, this, and this, which I should be telling you what I'm trying to execute, right? So it's like executing on making the move happen. So there's getting finances in order. There's things that I need to do here physically because it would really be in like 8 weeks that I need to be there. So I was like, I need to start getting rid of stuff. I need to rehome my cats, and I need to. I think that's about everything. So it's like getting the money together, getting rid of things. I need to rehome the cats, and then go. Basically, is what I need to do. And I have laid out in my head, like, here's how I think I could get this done in 8 weeks. And then I feel like for the past week, I'm just like not doing those things.
mm,
It's like why is this happening? what
yeah.
what are what is going
What?
on right now?
Okay. Great. I think I have a top level context. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. They might be
Okay,
relevant. You're welcome to like answer that question or some sub question that you think is relevant to answer.
great.
How much money do you need to move from how much you have right now? Like how much additional money do you need?
So right now I have like I have a little under $10,000. I think it would be a lot better if that was more like $20,000, because
Okay, so you
there's
need $10,000 to move.
pretty much, yeah.
If you didn't have $10,000, an additional $10,000, what would happen?
If I didn't have an additional $10,000, I I guess I could technically still go, but I would run out of rent money before I ran out of boot camp.
Okay, so you wouldn't be able to pay rent,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Um, would would anything else catastrophic happen?
I guess in my mind, as you say that, I realize in my mind is like if I can't get the money up to a certain point, I can't go, which I don't
Okay,
know how true
is that
that
true?
is.
Yeah,
I
is
don't
that
know.
true?
Until just now.
Like, what if you raised no more money and then you went? Like, what would happen?
Oh God, I would be in a very precarious situation. I would be in an unsustainable situation, right? Where I have like, okay, I've said this is how I'm going to spend my time, and to, I've committed to this task. I have upheaved my life, but also I don't have a plan to how to actually do this. Like it feels very irresponsible to not have the money that I need to do the
That's a
thing that I
little
say
bit
I'm going to
too
do.
meta. What I mean is like, okay, so you'd go.
Hmm.
Literally, what would happen is you would spend like on what day would you run out of money? Like, would you ever have $0 in the bank? These are the sorts of questions to just be asking. Like so that we can get to
Yeah,
an actual number that we need.
yeah. I feel like I would for sure run out of money. I don't know what day
Okay.
exactly because I'm still getting it down, right? Like there's things that have to come together of just like, okay, how much am I going to have to pay in
Yeah,
rent?
and you have
Because
like
like
plane
I've had,
tickets and you have rent.
yeah. There's plane
I,
tickets. I don't want to like bring too much stuff. I want to get rid of
of
most
course.
of my stuff so that the moving costs stay low. And I don't need most of it anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah, it's
yeah,
also
so
probably
I'll,
cheaper to store a lot of it, even if it's just 3 months.
yeah,
Not that that's great,
I
but
can store it at my parents' house. If I need to store anything. But honestly, truly most of it can get gone. Like it'll be, I think, ultimately a couple of boxes that I leave behind and not much more than that.
my
Um,
instinct is that $10,000 is actually, in fact, enough money to be in New York for 4 months. Um, I think
okay.
that probably is causing a little bit of the. I mean, it's not. It's possible that that's causing a little bit of the strategy fatigue. It's like, oh, do I optimize for making more money right now, or do I optimize for like reducing expenses once I'm in New York? And there's kind of like two different paths you could go down. Let's ignore the like. Let's just say we can make additional money. So if you have another $10,000 and we're comfortable, that's how you feel right now. So then that's good.
Yeah, because I feel like
Okay.
realistically, so it's 3 months, right?
Yeah.
But realistically, off the bat, it's already more like four
You'll need four,
because,
most likely.
yeah,
Yeah.
I want to be down there at least a week before start, because I have to actually move states, get into a new place. I don't want my living situation expiring the same day as the boot camp ends because I don't know what my situation will be there right now. I know you guys have, a stellar 100% placement rate, but still timing wise, like I don't know how that works. Also, it's like 3 days before Christmas. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah. No, no, I think that all makes sense. So
yeah.
let's say that our goal is to make another $5,000 to $10,000. What's your current plan for doing that?
Um, I want to trade it up. So I know that that's I guess primary plan. So like the month before Vibe Camp, I made like 800 bucks on a couple of option flips that weren't a whole lot of effort. So in my mind, I was just like, okay, if I do like full focus picking plays for 6 weeks, I was just like, I think I actually can run it up a little bit. I've done it before. Um,
Okay.
I think the biggest day I ever had was 30K. I immediately lost it because that was the biggest profit I had ever made in a day, and I immediately made bad dopamine fueled decisions with it. But that's neither here nor there. I was like, it's possible, especially if you do it around like earning season is like particularly good for any
So
for a given company.
my instinct is like, I mean, that's fine. I literally know nothing about trading, so
Yeah,
I'm not the right person to ask for advice there.
no,
Um,
that's fine. I
Obviously,
mean,
like
I trade in
my
a strange way anyway. It's
yeah.
fine.
Uh, is there a way to make the money with no risk separately, just for strategic purposes?
I don't think there's a way to make the money with no risk. I do think I could get the money or a substantial portion of the money
Correct.
with no
Right.
risk, which is to say that I could, call upon the internet essentially.
Yeah, you could ask for
Um,
money.
yeah,
You
I could.
could ask for loans. You
Yeah.
could.
And I've been looking, I have that on my to-do list actually for this week is to like look into personal loan options. I have a feeling they're not going to be great. My credit's not bad anymore. I've worked it up to where it's like decent or like a little bit above average, but it's still like a relatively new because I was just completely broke for so many years. Um but like yeah, so like I've worked on credit. My credit's up okay. I could probably get approved for a personal loan. The terms are probably going to be shitty, but if it would be a putting my money where my mouth is, where I was just like, I am choosing to do this because I believe I will have a job at the end of it. And if I have a job at the end of it, some small dollar loan is not going to be a big deal, no matter what the interest rate is.
So you have a skill set as a data analyst, is that right?
Yeah, data science is how I was trained. I had worked a data analyst job because the data
Yeah.
science market is shit right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can do data work. I can do some front end work depending on what it is they're trying to do. There's things that I can do, but that didn't feel like a good path to like fast money in 8 weeks, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
even just
I
trying to
guess.
get a data job it could take 8 weeks.
Yeah, I'm just kind of exploring the space here. I
Yeah.
think my instinct is like the easiest thing to do in situations like this is to ask for help from friends who basically believe that your strategy is a good strategy and then convince them that the strategy is good. So for me, I think what I would do in this situation, and we should at least discuss whether it's a possibility first, and then kind of talk from there. Like what I would do is I'd write a memo. The memo would be something like, "This is what I'm doing. Here's the evidence that what I'm doing is a very good decision. Here's like the evidence that what I'm doing is going to pay off. Like it is an incredibly good investment." And then I would basically write like, "I'm sending you this because I'm asking for you to bet on me. Like I don't need very much. I need $5,000 or whatever, and I would like to repay that with this amount of interest in this amount of time," and just kind of specify some terms. And then I would find a personal loan off the market from a trusted friend. That's realistically what I would do. Is there Does that seem easy? Does that seem impossible? Where kind of like I'm curious why not go a route like that? And then that way you kind of say like for the next 8 weeks instead of focusing on making money, I'm going to spend my entire time prepping and becoming a better software engineer because I'll have plenty of
Yeah.
money once I'm a software engineer.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think that's part of it too. It's like I'm sitting there in my head, and I think at some part of my brain, like every morning right before I wake up, is like I would like to spend today working on the software thing, but you're supposed to be making money, and then I spend the whole rest of the day going
Right,
like,
but the
fuck.
point of the
What?
software stuff is to make the money. So
Exactly, exactly.
it doesn't really make sense to spend a bunch of time making money before you're a software engineer.
No, you're right. You're right. Okay, does that feel easy? Does that feel hard? I feel like when you say it like that, it sounds so simple.
Hmm.
Just like, oh, like just ask your friends. So there is
Or like let's
resistance.
say like here I'll you can dictate and I'll take notes. I'll transcribe notes. But like what would you say? How would you ask somebody for this? And is there somebody in particular that you can think of that you would ask? Maybe we can address this to them.
There's there's nobody in particular that I can think of to ask because
Okay,
I
maybe like
think
dear
that,
Twitter then or something.
yeah, like to my Twitter, what would I say? Wow, why that is hard. Okay.
It makes sense. I mean, this is kind of a crazy thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I've done something similar once before. It was what year was that? I don't know, probably like 8 or 9 years ago, something like that. But that it felt different because that felt like I had to do it.
Mm.
When I was in medical school, there was one semester where they had like fucked up my paperwork somehow. So when you're in medical school, you don't really have time to have a job, and also a lot of medical schools have rules against it anyway. They're just like, don't even try that. And if there's not a rule, there's still a huge kind of like taboo. No, you don't work in medical school, and so you get a stipend from the school each semester. Not a whole bunch, like 10 to 12 grand, but like it's enough to live on. Um, and they fucked it up. And at the beginning of the semester, I'm running out of last semester's money, and they're like, "Yeah, you don't get a disbursement this this semester." And there was no resolution to that. They were just like, "Yeah, I don't know, you just don't get one." But I was already in a lease that I had just, re-signed. I was in a really bad spot, and so like even when people are just like, "Well, what if you just, give up your apartment, you could downsize and all that?" Is like, it doesn't matter. I was like, the lease I signed says I have to pay the rent until that apartment gets filled, and I don't know how long that's going to take. And so I ended up doing a little GoFundMe, asking my Twitter following at the time on a different account. I just laid out the situation. But that was because my back was against the wall, and I was like, I literally don't have any money, and I'm gonna get evicted, and that would be really bad. That felt easy. And here, why does this feel different? I guess if it feels different because it's a choice. It's like I'm choosing to do this. Like I wouldn't need money if I wasn't going to New York.
Why is it a
And
good why is it a good decision? Think from the other person's perspective instead of from your perspective. Like why is it a good why should people give you the money? Like what's a good reason that they should do that?
a good reason that they should do that is, well, it's like if they care about me, it would help me out a lot. It would help me improve my position in life. And I'm going to give it back. You don't really, I guess there's the risk of like, something could happen where I don't give it back. I could die. But in general, I think it's like, it's a reasonably measured risk that is like, okay, you give up, 5 grand that you weren't using for like 6 months to a year, and then you have it back. I mean, those are the only reasons I can think of.
Yeah. I
It's
mean, you
like
could
it
sweeten the
would be it
deal.
would be helpful to know.
You could add interest.
That's
You
true.
could
Yeah.
say,
I'm
I'll
down to I'm down
pay.
to pay
You could
interest.
say, I'll pay back $6,000. You'd be like, you'll make $1,000.
Yeah. That's yes, I would be totally down to do that. I don't mind paying interest. I was looking at bank loans. I just haven't looked at it because I know the interest rates they're going to offer me are going to be terrible. I was like, I don't want to look at 35% interest. That feels upsetting. I will pay it if I have to, but I don't want to look at it right now. Yeah, I would be down to do that. So it's just like, okay, you give me five, I give you back six next year. That seems like a decent deal. I think part of my problem in having trouble addressing it is like I feel like most of my friends are broke, uh,
You have
or
some
at
friends
least
who aren't
that
broke. Um,
it's
you are
true.
followed by a lot of people on Twitter.
That's true. Some of you people have real jobs, high paying
Another way to
jobs.
sweeten the pot is to say that you're going to pay it forward.
I would definitely do that. That's a big thing for me. I'm actually in a payment plan right now for the boot camp that I did for the data science. Um, and they had a scholarship type program where you could pay it back afterwards. But that's specifically because there's just like literally, I was just like, you have used the funds for one person, and when you pay it back, that's another spot. So it's super important to me. I am not paying on my student loans. I have been paying on that. Like Um, but yeah, like that's a good idea. And I think that would be true of me anyway. Um, like once I have a reasonable income, that's it's how I've always operated. I already lend people money or give people money really when I shouldn't. Like it's just but I guess that's kind of the same mentality I've had toward it. Like I remember one time I was in school and I had lent a friend really just like the back half of my stipend because I was just like, I think that you're going to get it back to me in time. Um, and there was a little bit of a delay that was stressful, but he got it back to me. It's fine.
Yeah.
So paying it forward is a good point to make. That
Let's talk about the
is,
environment a little bit that you're
yeah,
in. Right now, do you feel like it's a good environment for you to focus, study,
no,
grow?
no, that's part of why I'm leaving.
Yeah.
It's a terrible environment for it. Like we're sitting out on the porch, which is a thing that I realize I do like more and more as the weather is being good because it's so fucking dark in the house.
Mm.
Like it's just something about I don't know if it's the ranch style house, like the trees around it or whatever, but it's like I can show you. It doesn't matter if the lights are on. They don't do much for the darkness. This is this is the light levels. Actually, the
Mm.
iPhone camera is like
Right. The
juicing it
iPhone's
up
just
for
gonna
you.
brighten it. It's just gonna brighten
Yeah,
it
it's
all.
brightening it for you, but just imagine it's like this in most rooms of the house most of the time, and turning on a light doesn't really do much about it. I hate being in this house. There's more
Mm.
reasons, but I think that's the biggest one. It gives me like I could tell that was a big part of like the moving was just like looking at how I was feeling during vibe season, and there was more reasons for that. But just noticing the the difference in what do you call that? Like how much effort you have to put in to have energy for that day and to do a bunch of stuff. It had just been like wiped out. And that highlighted for me how much work I have to do to even be able to make myself do work living here. And I was like, that's crazy. Like part of it is the people, some part of it is being alone. I live alone right now. Um, and my family is like a couple hours away. And I have friends here. But yeah, anyway, part of it is that. But part of it is just like literally the environment itself. Waking up in the morning is harder actively in that house than in the apartment I used to live in, that kind of thing.
I'm also curious, like, I wonder if part of this that's worth digging into is the level of confidence you have in the career transition that you're trying to make. And maybe it's worth discussing that a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
scale of 0 to 100%, how confident are you that you are going to succeed in your career transition attempt?
So I was like 80%, I think.
Okay, let's say that you failed. Why? What happened?
That's just I can't think of a reason why it would fail. I think the only reason why it would fail is if I don't know, I guess like some kind of like market shift, I guess, where there's just not a job for me for someone with my skill set.
But
But
like, But like you know that there's jobs for other people. So like what is it
Yeah,
about you in particular that means that you can't get a job in the new market?
I worry about, okay. uh, I worry about it being enough. Um, I worry about my skill set being legible.
Hmm. When you say like not enough, is it something like not smart enough, not hardworking enough, not
N- Not
business knowledgeable enough,
not credentialed right.
not credentialed, right?
Yeah, that worries me a
Let's
lot.
yeah. Um
Like I know that I can do anything, bro. Like I've never like that's never been a thing. Like I've never come into an environment and been like, "Oh, I don't know how to do this," and then I just have to leave now. That's never happened to me in my life. I can learn whatever I need to learn. I will figure out how to do whatever needs to be done. Um, but somebody has to let me, you know? They have to let me and they have to see that. And I worry about that. I worry about that a fair bit. I think that if I could talk to the people that I would actually be working with, that would be one thing. But I think that's what I've run into, like trying to get into data science is just, having to confront the resume over and over again and knowing that it's like this is going to pass through computer filters. And then I'm going to talk to some fucking recruiter who doesn't even understand the job that is supposed to be done to be able to assess me for my ability to do it more so than my experience having done it already. And so that worries me a lot.
have you ever had a job at a company that was growing and profitable and like the company was really serious and could keep promoting you if they wanted to?
Um, yeah, I guess my the last job I had, the data analyst contract, it was the largest healthcare data company in the country, like for hospital data.
Hmm.
They do more hospitals than any other company does. They had just done an acquisition, and so they were doing that merging, and they were growing, starting to get into AI.
And then you were laid off there?
My contract ended.
Your contract ended,
And
sure.
yeah, so they didn't have a position for me on this, like basically on the teams that I was on. They didn't have that at that time. They're doing a weird thing. I guess it doesn't really matter, but like they're like
How
weirdly
big was
running
the
their,
company?
oh, how many employees do they have? I don't actually, I don't
Or
actually
like
know.
what's your suspicion on your manager's power in that situation? Like did your manager have power to hire you if they wanted to?
No, they had to be allotted the budget
Sure. Yeah, yeah,
and
that makes sense. It's like one of those orgs. They were post
yeah,
bureaucracy.
yeah, they were weirdly running their, like, despite being a data company, they have like a ton of other teams, obviously. Like, they've got like, sales and just like all of these other teams doing stuff that we have no idea on. And they were like weirdly stingy with data people. Like kind of just like, how few data people can we get away with paying to do
That's
this
what I
thing?
mean. Yeah, you are a
Even
cost center, not a profit center, so it's hard.
yeah,
Um,
but like this literally our whole, like, your whole thing is the data pipeline. Why do we not have enough people to get through everything that needs to be done, or to
yeah,
keep track of everything that's supposed to be keeping track of? The Rube Goldbergian shit going on in there was crazy, and I was just like, I don't understand why you're treating this like a shoestring when it's literally your entire product. All of your products depend on what happens in on these teams.
yeah,
But anyway,
yeah. It's complicated. I mean, in business, it's just complicated. Like programmers and
yeah.
data scientists and stuff, we're all cost centers to the business. If you if you have that perspective, it's easier to realize like why companies are making weird decisions about
Hmm.
resourcing. Because like from your perspective, you're like, oh, I create value, but from the business's perspective, it's like you're literally just a cost. It's not obvious at all how you create money for the business. And so a
Yeah.
big part of having good product managers and good engineering managers and having a good manager in general is that like it's your manager's responsibility to uh or like a good manager basically does the work of convincing the company that that team is in fact a profit center for the business and is making the business money.
Yeah.
But if
And
the
it's,
manager is not super capable of that work, then obviously it's really hard. The business obviously wants to get by with the fewest number of expenditures
yeah.
that it can.
Yeah, there's a kind of manager that is more like an orchestrator, than
Sure,
anything.
yeah.
It's just like, yeah, and like she was, fine with that, and keeping track of everybody and what they're doing and that kind of thing. But I do think that there was probably some difficulty in communications in that way. But to me, it's obvious. I was just like, literally, like the biggest things that they worry about and the biggest problems that they have that concern them the most are downstream of understaffing the data team.
Yeah.
You guys
Have you
get
ever
so
considered writing that into a memo and sending it to the CEO?
actually did think about sending it not to the CEO but to the
Chief Data
CTO.
Officer, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna send it to the I thought about sending it to the CTO before I left. Um, but then I did not. And I was just like, I don't know. I guess I was like, why am I doing this? I was like, I do not know this man. I
To help.
don't know if he really wants to hear from me that I think he's doing it wrong. Like I'm just
You can always reframe it. It's like when you can write the first place from an emotional place, and then you can like send it to some professionals and have it redrafted. Um,
yeah.
but like
I
that's the
had an
sort of thing
email
that
draft for a
gives you a
while.
reputation, right? In a good way.
Hmm.
It's like if you're able to send professional letters that are persuasive to people, it helps if you like quote some famous philosophers. Like if you like quote Peter Thiel or you quote like
Oh, he would I
Aristotle
love that.
or
Yeah.
whatever, then people are really into it because they're kind of like, oh, this person reads business books. Anyway,
That's actually so funny. I actually do have a history of writing or speaking, pointed institutional feedback and getting things done. Like when
I mean,
I
it's
was in
how
college and when I was in
institutions
medical
learn.
school.
That's like the only
Yeah,
way that
man.
anything happens.
Hmm. That was
Um,
out of pure selfishness though. I was like, I hate that you're doing this thing this way and it's causing me problems. And I'm gonna write you a letter framing it in terms of problems that it's causing you and also embarrassing you a little bit, and then you're going to fix it. And that's just how institutions work for some reason.
yeah. Okay, so let's say the problem is that you don't have a credential and nobody's taking a bet on you. Like, what do you do about that? What should somebody in your position do?
Has to be about networking and also proof of concept. I would have to like make something cool and also try to get a lot of people to know that I made something cool and I'm capable of making cool things.
Um,
It'll be very stressful because I would be doing that with no income and also having just blown all my money.
what? But you need a job, right? Like, you need to make money.
Yes.
So you don't need to like go all the way to cool all at once. I mean, cool is one thing. Like eventually, maybe in your life, you want to build cool stuff. But for now, you
Yeah.
just want a good job.
True.
And so for that reason, you actually don't need to prove that you're cool, and you don't need to prove that you can build cool stuff. What do you need to prove? There's actually like a pretty specific thing that you need to somehow give people proof of, and then you can make money.
Prove that I can build anything at all. Prove that I can
Just
build something useful.
just prove that you can make them money.
Yeah.
So the way that it works in business generally is just like there aren't that many people in the company that know how the company makes money, knows how the company loses money, and knows how to make the company more money and make it so the company loses less money.
Hmm.
And um, the more people in a business that are kind of conscious of the finances of the business, because like the finances are the lifeblood of the business. I mean, you're literally like pumping resources around the company in order to keep the company alive. And the more kind of like nodes inside of the business that are aware of how that business operates and how to make the business more profitable, um, the more those business leaders or grow it or whatever, like the business is optimizing for something. Some businesses are optimizing for profit, some businesses are optimizing for growth, um, some businesses are optimizing for status. And if you know what the business is optimizing for, then you, of course, can just like write them a letter, send them an email that says, like, hey, I noticed you're optimizing for this thing, but you're not doing a very good job of it. I spent a day working on this problem. Here are my thoughts. Like, here's a memo. Um, this is, you know, 8 hours of my work. If you'd like to see another month worth of my work, I would love for you to bring me on as an intern to solve like these specific problems while I'm there, and then we can talk about continuing work after that or something like that. This strategy is, I'd say, like 1 in 3 successful or something. Like it's fairly common because nobody gets an email like this. Like you talk to any business owner, nobody's getting emails like this. Um, Patio 11 has thread on this that I can send you as well.
I was going to
Um,
say, I was like, I think I've heard
there's some
this
free,
something
yeah,
similar to
Patty.
this
This
before.
is basically from Patio 11. There's some stuff that you can do that's like free. So one, if you're like, oh, I don't know how to do that, I need to be trained in how to do that. One thing you can do is you can just talk to the customers of the business, because most businesses don't talk to their customers.
Oh yeah,
So, like, one thing you can do that is always helpful, no matter what, is you talk to whoever makes the business money. Like, that's their customer, right? The customer is whoever pays them,
yeah.
and you interview those people, and you do really good interviews. Maybe record them on a recording software like this,
Hmm.
and then take notes on the interviews and write up a memo. That should take you maybe 8 hours. You're going to interview maybe 3 different customers for like 30 minutes each, and you're going to use some combination of Claude and ChatGPT to write up a report. You can like tell it that it's a McKinsey consultant or something. And then obviously you're going to write that report yourself. Like, you're going to do all the bullet
Well,
points,
yeah.
but then you can kind of ham it out.
Hmm.
And then you're just going to present that report to somebody and say like, hey, here's a bunch of work that I've done investigating the business. I feel like what you guys are doing is really cool. Here are some clear areas of improvement. In fact, I also have ideas on how we could implement those improvements. And here are some of those ideas. It would be cool if we
Yeah,
could work together. Uh, I'd
yeah.
say
That'd work at least some of the
that
time.
works. It just, yeah, it does work, because like that's how the world is shaped. The world is shaped such that it's not like there are like these people in business who are like powerful and gatekeepy that have some like weird rites and rituals that they need to do to approve of you. It's like
Hmm.
there are people. There's just everyone's people. The people who are in business are like scared and afraid that they're going to lose their jobs and lose everything, and that they're abandoned and they don't have enough help, and like, yeah, all just like everyone else. If you can go to these people and say, I can help you, I know how to help you, they might be like, bullshit, like, you're not skilled enough. But that's
Hmm.
great feedback to get.
Yeah,
They're not going to say like, oh, you don't have the right credentials. I mean, they might also say that, but like, again, 1 in 3, like, let's say 33% of people say that. But like, realistically, if you actually offered proper, serious advice that you took seriously, they're
yeah.
either going to
Like
say like,
credentials or not, you can if you can evaluate this and
correct.
see that it's useful, then whatever.
So like, either they're going to evaluate it and they're going to say, this level of work isn't of a high enough caliber for our business, like, no
Hmm.
thanks. Or they're going to evaluate it and they're going to say like, this is better than the stuff that my team produces internally, like, I really need you on the team.
Hmm.
um, or it's like somewhere in between those two things, and then who knows
Yeah,
where things go from there. But if you really honestly believe that you're in the position where you are very skilled but nobody's taking a bet on you, there's a way in which you can kind of force the world to take a bet on you by just
just doing the
putting your
thing.
work out there. Let's just like do the work. You don't need to ask for permission. You can just do the work first and then show them the work. And then they will be like, oh, now I
Yeah,
understand why I should hire this
yeah.
person.
I definitely
Um,
have a lot to learn. I would say that I'm very generally competent. I'm a great thinker. I'm a great problem solver. And I'm a fast learner. Um, but I can definitely problems. I mean, again, this is literally a thing that I do and just don't employ it this way. Like as you're talking about like giving this kind of feedback, I'm thinking about how one way or another, if I use a like if there's an app that I think is particularly thoughtful, like I can tell from like how it's been designed that I was like, this is a very thoughtful team who's thinking deeply about UX. I end up often forming relationships with the dev team through the support tickets.
that's that's fun.
Yeah, it's like I have emails from like the capacities guy. I have like emails and Reddit exchanges with like my banking app, like the team that makes my banking app, just because I'm just like, all right, you guys are putting in real effort here. I'm going to give you like real feedback, like not just like bug reports that I'm going to explain to you. I was just like, here's what's going on this end. Here's what I think would fix it, or here's something that I see that you're trying to do. Here's how I think that you could enhance that outcome with this UI change, like stuff like that. And we just like end up like chatting back and forth. Like, so that's just it's already how I am. It's just sort of employing it more strategically instead of just expressively. Like, I love this app and I show it by helping you make it better.
I'm curious if that resolves the fear that you won't succeed, like the 20% case that you won't succeed at all, or if there's other things baked into the 20%. other than like people taking a bet on me. Or if this is just like, yeah, like good. Those are good words, Andrew, but like people still won't take a bet on me or something like that. I'm kind of curious where you're at with the last 20%.
No, it definitely helps a lot. Uh, I don't know if we're all the way through the whole 20% of it yet, but it helps a lot. Like I can feel, I don't know if it's visible on the video, I'll have to watch it back, but like I can feel my like my shoulders relaxing a little bit because I'm realizing that like I have kind of been thinking of it as single avenue in, where it's just like I have to get past the HR filters. And like, no, you actually don't necessarily. It depends on the company. I think I had a pretty discouraging experience
And it
last
depends on
year.
the person in the company, right? Like there are always going to be
Yeah,
people who have the authority to go over HR at the company, and you can always talk to those people.
yeah, yeah. I had a pretty discouraging experience last year where I worked for honestly months to like cultivate, to first kind of like get access to and like cultivate a rapport with somebody who was, I guess, two layers above. There's an internship program with a hospital system that I was really interested in. Um, and I got to the lady who is over like the whole program. Like there's like multiple teams that participate in this thing, and she's like over all of that. And so like I got to where she was like, "Oh yes, you're perfect for this. I want you in here. Just go through this process." But then the company is so big that when I get auto rejected from the process, just nothing really happened after that. And I'm like, okay, well, the recruiter asked me like a couple of weird questions that didn't make sense, and then they were just like, no, we're not hiring you. And it didn't seem to matter that I had spent 6 months getting into a position where they're telling me, yeah, yes, here, I sent you the email, it's open, make sure you get your application in, we're going to get you on, I've got a couple of different teams that I want you to choose between. And that just didn't go anywhere, so I was just like, okay, so does this not work? Is this just like a function of like modern companies? That I was just like, because that was kind of a big bet that I even making this decision of just like knowing that I wouldn't have the credentials, but like the credentials are turning out to be way more important than I thought they would have to be. And that's stressful.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I don't think a single one of my students has gotten hired through HR.
Yeah.
That's just not something we do. Um, it's also not something I believe in. I think it's kind of evil. So I don't know. But that's a whole
Yeah.
different conversation. Um,
No,
but
and that's a conversation we could totally have at some point. Would love to talk about the evils of HR and what it's doing to everyone and
and
everything.
it's like a small evil, but it's a small evil that like we're all doing to each other all the time in really small ways.
Yeah.
But I remember even when I worked at a big like when I've been in the position of needing to hire through official hiring channels, it has
Hmm.
always gone worse than I expected. Um, and I suspect it went worse for the candidates too. Like I just suspect on all sides nobody was happy with the process. Partially it's because there's like
Every.
way too many applications to filter. Partially it's
Hmm.
like it's impossible to remove your biases. Partially it's that like you start filtering based on the information that you've been provided, which is like imagine if everyone had to find their marriage partner, like the person they were going to spend the rest of their life with by reviewing resumes. Like you just like had a pile. You literally had a pile of 5,000 resumes, and every single one that you said yes to, that person would come and they would interview with you. And so it's this weird situation where like you're incentivized to do very weird things. Like you're incentivized to optimize for what looks good on the resume or like what colleges you think are high status or
Yeah.
like what they look like. I don't know. There's just like a million things that you kind of have these like small little incentives to do, and none of it stacks up to what actually would look like what would be good in the role. And also you can't compare these people because you don't have enough time, so you like
Hmm.
have these incredibly short conversations with them to try to get an instinct as to whether they'd be good on the job, as if you can tell if somebody would be good on a job in an hour. It just doesn't,
Yeah.
the whole thing is very 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 strange.
Yeah.
um
I feel
and it's
that
not how
way about
startups
like,
hire at all.
that's true. That's true. I feel that way about a lot of filtering mechanisms, but like the way that HR works, to me, it bears a lot of resemblance to like say how medical admissions work, where it's like a whole bunch of things that were originally supposed to be proxies for competence but have kind of taken on a life of their own. You have to like get them all lined up in the exact right order and configuration so that now I look like a great medical applicant. And it doesn't really have that much to do with your actual competence past a certain point. And I feel like the HR thing is a certain way. But
Well,
I did
especially if you're
also
strange
say,
or you don't have the, yeah, it's like
yeah,
it just doesn't make sense. You just got to make your own path. um
yeah, I did tell somebody that like ultimately I know that I was just like it'll be fine. I'm not gonna what I'm like I'm not gonna like starve and be homeless no matter what happens.
Hmm.
There's lots of things that I haven't tried yet. Like I don't know, just going to work at Applebee's or something, but that's a thing that people can do. I also haven't actually tried lying on my resume yet. So everybody is lying and they're like, no, just say what they want you to say. But I was like, I don't, something about the idea bothers me. I was like, I
Yeah, I
don't
don't
want to
think you
lie.
have to. I don't think you have to. Um,
Okay, that's good because I
there are
don't want
paths
to.
without doing it. Not that if like somebody told me that they did lie on their resume one time, I don't think that would be necessarily disqualifying or anything like that. But I think
Yeah,
it's possible to get by without it, and there's no need. Um,
yeah,
there's a book, Lying by Sam Harris, that's kind of about this. It's like you can actually lean into the opposite thing, but that's a whole another conversation. Okay, my overall takeaway now is something like the situation that we were in when we started. So you have $10,000, you need money, is what you think you need. Really, what your goal is, are you confident this is the right goal in the first place? Like, there's an assumption underlying all of this that like what you want to do is you want to go to New York, you want to study for let's say 4 months, so like 3 months plus you want to spend an extra month just in case. You need 1 month of applications or whatever, and
mhm,
then not that we do applications, 1 month of internships, let's say, and
yeah,
then uh, what you want to do is like be able to afford that. Is this still the right strategy for you?
yeah. I think so. I feel very confident in like the
And like
decision to come to do the boot camp.
that's because you feel like the environment will be better.
Yeah, yeah,
You'll make a lot of progress very fast. You'll be set on a good trajectory,
yeah,
and you feel like you
exactly.
will be competent in the job when you get the job.
Yes, yeah, all of those things. Because you, it's just like obviously we don't know each other very well, but it's just like I followed you for a while, um, and I see how you operate on like multiple levels. I'm like, if Andrew says that everybody got a job, then everybody got a job, and that's not something that I need to worry about. Um, and that's my main thing. I was like, I need work, and if I have to go about it a different way, then that's just what I need to do. It makes sense to me. It makes more sense to me because the alternative is what, like, keep doing what I've been doing, just keep sending applications into the HR shredder, and as my as my savings tick down over the same period of time anyway. Like, no, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. Okay, so continuing the circle back, it's like we still think the strategy is good. Prior to this, we were kind of like banging our heads against the wall of like maybe we're gonna day trade our way up plus, but like we're not really working on it and we're not really studying. Like, what is the actual best use of your time now? And like specifically with respect to your emotions as well. Like, what is the fun, enjoyable, challenging, like the thing that is like the correct thing to do in your opinion, given your emotional state, given what you're capable of, all these things.
I think the correct thing to do is focus on actually like doing my prep work, which means the correct thing to do is to get the money worry off my plate instead of trying to do both things over the next, 4 to 6 weeks, which means probably going more like the ask route, which is something that I had talked about. Like I've been talking to Taco about like writing an essay and kind of putting my journey, I guess. Like it was like this is where I'm at and why and what I'm trying to do about it and kind of like making it appeal that way.
What's
Um
like a shitty version of this? Like, it sounds like you're not confident in this strategy. And so, one thing I'm curious about is like, can you tweet about your lack of confidence, or can you tweet about your anxiety about asking, or can you like, what are you worried about with respect to the ask? Are you worried about imposing? Are you worried about being seen as needy? Is it something else?
I'm not worried about. He has like a secret third thing kind of thing because it's I I feel like a disconnect between what I know in my mind and what I feel in my body.
Okay,
Right? So it's like in my
that's important.
mind, I'm like, okay, I know this community of people, and I know that what I'm doing makes sense. At least here is like it's like very legible. I think everybody at Tva who I'm told I'm doing like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense for you. That's a good fit. It's like, I was just like, I know that it makes sense. Uh, I think it's extremely likely that I could get, most, if not all, the support that I need through that route.
And what do you
Um,
feel?
and that people would be positive about it. I feel that, like, it's like I think I have this, I think I was calling it, what was I calling it? Pathological self-reliance,
Sure. Yeah,
where
you don't want
there's,
to be. You don't want to be. You want to be self-made.
yeah, I was like, I don't want, like, there's something about it that feels, it's like, like if
Iffy.
I, like there's a way of, it almost feels like giving up to ask other people to help, or like if they give me money to do it, then I didn't do it.
What?
And
What?
also they
Okay.
owe me
Again, like
now a
let's
little
let's
bit.
stop being. Let's stop focusing on ourselves. What is
Yes.
better for the other people?
Oh,
Like, what's better for them?
I want to say it doesn't make a difference to them, but that's not true. Like, people like being a part of something and helping people that they like.
Also, they're gonna make $1,000.
That too, they would get money back. It's a great deal.
Also, you're gonna pay it forward. I don't know. There's just some amount of like. I think you are underestimating how um important it is for a society to have people that are brave enough to ask for help and face rejection. Like,
Yeah.
this is like a kind of really important part of the ecosystem. And if you don't face the possibility, it sounds like you're not even worried about rejection, but like, let's say that you are, like, if you don't face the possibility of rejection, other people who are even more afraid than you are like certainly never going to do so.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
what you're kind of putting out there is like, hey, this is possible for people. Like, one thing that you can do in the world is you can come up with good strategies that cost some amount of money, and you can calculate how much money they cost, and you can calculate how much money they earn. You can like write those things down in a spreadsheet or in like a memo, and you can publish that, and you can just say like, hey guys, does anyone want to earn $1,000 by loaning me $5,000 so that I can focus on studying for this boot camp that I'm working on?
Yeah. And that feels much more doable. I think that thinking about it as like asking people to just like give me money, like that bothers me. But asking people to like loan me money that I give them back with interest, then that feels different. It feels, I was like, yeah, that's a fair trade.
Right.
That, like, that's a perfectly fair trade, and that just feels like more even footing. Something about asking for money, it feels like not in, it's it's so weird because like the word that's coming to mind doesn't make any sense in context, but it's like vibrationally correct. It feels emasculating.
Ha. um sure, yeah, I mean that makes sense. It's like you want to be seen as somebody who helps other people rather than somebody who needs help,
Yeah, and
for
it's
instance,
okay
these
to
sorts of
need
things.
help, but I guess I don't
Right.
know. I think I still have some weird stuff about like money help specifically. Um, no, it's not true. I can be bad about asking for help. I'm getting
Also,
better
it
at it
is
though.
okay. It's okay to need help, but like it's good to give help. I agree. Like, I think this
Yeah.
all makes sense. It's just, think about this as a trade. Rather, you can think of it as a trade. You can also think of it as help. You can think of it as both of those things. It's like, what happens at the intersection of trade and help? What happens is what we call surplus, and like the surplus is positive for everyone. And this is what economics is literally based around: is the idea that when we do trades, we are performing a form of mutual help that is fair, also, that
Yeah.
everyone enjoys. Like,
Yeah.
that's what trade is about. But also, we we can like almost ignore the trade aspects. In addition to this, it's just like, does this solve the problem? Plus, is it good? And
Yes.
I think you should go after a solution that solves the problem and is good. And if you're afraid of doing it, I think what you should do is just like say that. Like, just be like, hey guys, what I think is best for me, or like, you just tweet. You're like, literally, I've been thinking about asking for a loan for this upcoming boot camp. I think this makes sense in literally every way, but I'm really afraid to ask for a loan. Not sure why. Um, what do you think I should do? Or something. I don't know. You can
Yeah.
start with like the meta stuff, of course.
Yeah. No, yeah, that feels very doable.
Unless
I
you think
could,
it's somehow easier to just come up with the money, but that seems
it's
like way harder to me.
it's not easier. It like, I think on some level in my mind I was like that's easier, but it's really more like that's emotionally easier, or that felt emotionally easier, whereas like I don't have to involve anybody else in this. I don't have to, oh,
I
okay.
just think
Yeah,
like,
that's
what's
part of it.
fastest? Like, imagine that you're optimizing for like
It's
the
for sure
universe.
the
What's
fastest.
fastest?
It's for sure fastest to just ask. To just ask. And then it's like, all right, now I have like enough money to live on for the next couple of months, fund my move, and live in New York for 4 to 6 months. I
Sure.
no
Yeah,
longer
right.
have to think about money. That is the fastest thing. And then it's off my that because it's off my plate at that point. Like it's sitting in an account waiting to pay my rent. And I can just focus on getting into the pre work, which I'm actually really excited to do because I've been wanting to know more about React for a long time, but it's kind of distributed around the internet in a weird way. Like you can do, like, obviously
Of
there's
course.
courses and stuff, but how do I explain this? It's like you can't know if somebody was going about this in the way that makes sense until after you've already done it. And so it's just like, okay, like I start watching your YouTube videos and I'm like, I'm not sure if this is really what I'm trying to do here. But I just trust you really. And I was just like, okay, if Andrew is like, this is a good set of information to learn, then I will just learn it and that'll be that. I don't have that sort of like meta level of like trying to
Sure.
evaluate it the same way. I was like, are they
Yeah, it's one
teaching
of the
me
reasons
bad
that we go to
habits that
school.
don't make sense? Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Um, okay. I think we should stop about here. We obviously could go infinitely long. We call this scheming at Fractal, and like we do a lot of scheming. But
I have heard the scheming word.
we do a lot of scheming. Obviously, scheming could last forever. But
Yes.
is there any kind of last thing that you want to discuss before we go? You feel good?
No, like I think I feel good. Maybe I think the only I realized like the mind and feeling disconnect. It was when you asked me like how confident do I feel
Mm,
about this path. I think it's that I feel 100% confident in my mind and like less confident in my body. And the fact that it's less confident makes me feel even more less confident, if that makes sense. Just like why
yeah,
like the fact that they're not aligned makes me feel like I was just like, okay, am I picking up on something? Is this stupid? I don't think this is stupid. And then I run through all of it in my head. Nope, nope, still checks out.
I would
Still
just
makes sense.
trust. I would just trust the scary stories and make sure you articulate them. Basically, that's what I do in your situation. So it's like the thing that your body's feeling is like some sort of horror story. Like, what is it? What's the specific one? And
Yeah.
trust that that's like, I don't know, like really fully embrace that that could happen. Like that's a real thing that could happen. And then
Yeah.
and then say like, okay, well then what will I do? Like if that happens, what will I do? And you have to come to terms with those scary situations. I don't think you can just like overwrite them with evidence, so to speak. Um, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
you're right. You're right. But I think I have a lot better access to the story now. Like even just starting to think about it, I was like, okay, I think that's what it is. But like that's simple and like it's just like an emotional thing of acceptance. Sometimes you accept something in your mind, but didn't walk through it on the emotional level. I don't know if that makes sense.
Of
But it's
course,
just
yeah, it
like
happens
so it's
all.
like
It happens constantly.
yeah,
Especially just like writing them down and sending them to people. Just be like, hey, like I'm scared of this. Is that crazy? It's like a lot of people will be like, no, like that happens all the time. I don't know. There's a lot of scary things that are not crazy. Like, is it crazy to be scared of sharks? It's like no, not crazy at all. Like sharks are scary. A lot of people get attacked by sharks. It's not that many people statistically. Most likely, you're not going to get attacked by a shark and like all these sorts of things. But to just like not have like to like override the fear with statistics doesn't really make sense. It's more
yeah,
like you have to kind
yeah,
of like you have to kind of accept the fear and then you have to say like okay, what am I going to do? Like what am I going to do to avoid being bitten by a shark? And or like let's say I do get bitten by a shark, like a real thing that can happen at like a 1 in 10,000 possibility rate. Like what am I going to do in that situation? Or whatever. And you kind of have to like
yeah,
you kind of have to deal with the fact that and I feel like once you deal with it, like once you have a plan, like even sometimes the plan can be like I guess I'll just die. Which
yeah.
which some I don't know. Sometimes that it's like really weird how that can give us a
No,
lot
that's
of
so it's
a
so
lot of catharsis.
useful.
But it's
Like
like you have this occasion like with airplanes. Some people are scared of airplanes. It's like sometimes for me, I don't know, this is obviously morbid, but it's like, well, what if the airplane crashes? And then I go through the statistics in my head. I'm like, well, airplane crashes are like statistically less likely than almost every other form of transit, like less likely than dying on a train, less likely than dying on a bicycle, less likely than dying in a car. So like statistically, the chance that I have already died in some sort of car crash is like 10,000 times the chance that I die in this airplane crash. So realistically, that's never going to happen. However, what happens if it does happen? And I'm kind of like, well, I guess I'll just be dead. And then I'm like, okay, well, fair enough, or I don't know, whatever. The point is, like, it's better than just like
Like,
overriding it.
no, I get you. I get you. I'm laughing because it's like I know this. Like I literally like the exact scenario that you described. I go through like pretty much every time I have turbulence on the airplane. Actually, so I knew that I was moving to New York. I said that like I made the decision in the air, but it wasn't really like a decision that I made in the air. It was like a realization because I was on the plane and there was like some turbulence. You know, it was kind of bad. Some little like drops of the plane and stuff like that. Now, every time there's turbulence on a plane, I think to myself, what if this plane just fell out of the sky right now? And feel, I don't really feel fear about it because it's so, I was just like, well, I'm already on the plane. So if it falls out of the
Right.
sky,
Right.
then I'll be dead and it won't matter anymore. And I've never felt afraid because it's like it didn't compute to me to be afraid of. I was like, what am I going to be afraid of something I have no control over? Why? Um, but on the plane coming from New York, I did feel like I felt like a little thrill of fear in my chest that I had never felt before when I thought, and then I'll die. And I was like, I'm actually afraid of missing out on this thing.
Ha, that's
I've
funny.
never felt that before. I've always just I was like, well, if I die, I die, and then nothing that matters after that happens because I'll be dead. So it has nothing to do with me. But I was like, I'd never actually felt like a physical fear response in that kind of situation before. Specifically, the turbulence situation. I'd never felt fear of the airplane crashing until like that moment, and I was like, oh shit, I have to do this for real. I was never afraid of dying in a plane crash until I had the possibility of going to do this thing that would be taken away from me. Obviously, I have to go do this. But anyway, like circling back around, like, yes, like you're so right. I'd never thought about it that way because I would never try to assuage fear with statistics. But that's exactly what I'm doing when I do that thing where I try to like look at the evidence of things. I was like, look at what you've done before. Why are you afraid you won't be able to do it again? But that's the same thing. Like, that's the same thing. It's just being like, well, statistically, you have a better chance of being struck by lightning. Like, that's not the point. That's not how feelings work. Why am I doing that? I,
Yeah.
this
Okay.
is super helpful.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it was. Thank you for being the first kind of experimental subject. Like I said, I'll kind of send you the recording, and then you can watch through it after this before I publish anything, and then um, yeah, just let me know. I mean, aside from, I guess I'll stop the recording. Bye, everyone. Hope this was helpful.